You want an example of a book that people are claiming woke and they're making all these accusations, but when you actually look at it, you're like, no, it's being historically accurate?
Oh, yeah.
Great radio show.
Yep.
I listened to the radio show.
Yeah, but this though, I mean, it's like when you actually look, the things people complain about, it's historical accuracy, but they're like, oh, there's some underlying message. If there was, it's because that's what actually happened back then. Quit trying to erase history because it makes you look bad. I'm sorry, it happened.
Well, we have revisionist history on every side, right?
Yeah, on every side, yeah.
That's unfortunate. But, yeah, Superman Smashes the Klan is fantastic. I absolutely loved it. But I do like Jean Louis Yang. I think he's a really good writer.
I love this Chinese super hyphen man. I loved what's his name? The character's name. Just new Superman.
Yeah, I forget. He was just in that anthology too.
I like the book. But give him his own identity, and that was one of my.
Yeah, but I think the hyphen though.
That's also one of my complaints about they're turning Aqualad into Aqua. There's nothing wrong with being Aqualad. They're turning John Kent into Superman. Be John Kent, be Superboy, be his own person.
But again, these are temporary stories, though. That is the one thing I would give them. They are making it clear up front, more than Marvel ever did. This is temporary. I mean, King and Kong, yeah, exactly.
The problem is of course I see too much behind the curtain.
Right.
These are
but this has always happened.
I've talked to the creators. I've talked to the creators, and they tell me what's going on. And what's going on with this is they want to leap forward. They don't want to do the work. And I'm about to kill my bird. They don't want to go through the creating the characters because nobody will like it. Well, what the hell do you think's happening now with what the hell do you think's happening when you change your when you change a character who's been one way for 30 years, like Tim Drake or Bobby Drake? Yes, I know the Drake thing going on.
Yeah,
we see their thoughts, so we know they aren't like that. But they actually have said the reason why they do this is because if they create a new character, it won't be as popular as if they just swap an existing character. And I've said it before, and I will die on this hill. That is not representation. That's presentation.
And I agree to a point, but we've seen mantles change before. We've seen with the Flashes. We've seen it with the Green Lanterns. It's nothing necessarily new. I think it also just takes an adequate writer to do so. And I do think it's Brandon Thomas writing that, right?
He's writing both Aquaman books.
That's the new what I thought.
And the Green Arrow one, which I read through. It's good. I won't spoil if you guys haven't read it. I haven't read it yet. But I'll just say, the people you see on the cover are not who you think are on the cover, is all I'm going to say.
I am curious how that is, but I think he generally is a pretty good writer.
Better than Easton.
I think we have a problem just as comic book readers of wanting the end game at the beginning and not knowing the story that's in between.
Oh, yeah,
and I
Jeffrey
think
Storm put it best.
Yeah. I think we jump ahead and want to know what's going to happen, and there could be a good story there. We don't know yet, but with evidence with I would say number one was just meh. Right, like it was just the
Aqualad. Right. Yeah, it was. It was a very flat line. I feel the same way about Nubia. I read the first issue. I thought it is so amazingly all right.
Well, at least that's why they're putting in minis and not ongoings, because they probably know that.
And by the way, I just read that comment that popped up. I absolutely agree. Some people don't like to bring up the topic because it's like freaking Beetlejuice. If you talk about them too much, they start showing up. It's like, just go.
It's like the same people who you bring up nowadays. Certain other people, you talk about legacies, everyone starts trashing on even the good legacy stories. Why? Oh, because certain YouTubers are now trashing on them because it's the hip thing to do.
Look, the thing is, and I know I'm taking the, we're on opposite ends because of this, but there are good ways to tell the story. One of the things, and here's part of the problem, Nerdette. I don't want to just call you nerdy, Tristen. is that I think the problem is within the announcements itself. Hey, we're making Superboy gay, and
oh yeah,
why is that? Why isn't it?
That.
We've got this great story, and we're gonna have a surprise for you. Let's hear about the narrative, and you know what? We've seen gay people do things. This is not an amazing. We know gay people exist. You don't have to make the announcement they're gay. Just have it happen, but write it well. And I think,
I have an issue with like clout chasing in a way with someone's sexuality. Like that's it's just not something you should do. It's kind of in poor taste. I have an issue with that, and that's actually why I appreciated the Nubia and the Amazon one so much, because we didn't know. Yep. We were learning through the story, and then nobody announced it. There was no press, release sent out. It was, here's Bia, she exists. Here's the story. It was literally in #1, and it, even the writer didn't even say anything till after the issue was out, and that's how it should be done.
It's like a panel and a half that she's in the book, and if you blink, don't take everything literally, Rob.
No. I wasn't going to say that. All I was going to say was, from a writing story point of view, they introduced a whole new set of Amazons. That's like a good team number. I'm already. That's why I was just going to say was, then they're setting them up for the rest of the mini. Is all I was going to say.
Yeah, but we're talking about the announcement.
Right.
They could. This is one of the case that's making my case.
Right.
Because had they just told everybody, we have introduced a whole bunch of Amazons, and they're going to make a splash on Themyscira. You have to check this out. It's going to be great. Some even if they wanted to talk about it, some are a little bit different, something you've never seen before. Boom. Now it's about the story. Now it's about the narrative. Now it's not about the demographic, and that I think is the problem. I think part of the problem is the announcements. It's just, I'm sorry, but I'm sorry I'm not impressed that you're gay. I live in Florida.
There are people that are impressed though. And I get that, like, that's a weird thing to be impressed about.
It really is.
Gen Z is so much different, and I think that's the difference. Is I don't necessarily know that a lot of those marketing schemes are made for. I'm a millennial. I don't care. I grew up in the time where I remember watching like an MTV story, like a documentary, seeing about how a gay person had been killed for being gay, and it was this story, and that was like something that changed my whole outlook when I was really young. Like, I was just like, how could you do that? I grew up in the time where people fought for their rights. People fought for their rights to get married and to just be treated normally, and now it's how do I say this without sounding mean? Now it's like more in that Generation Z, where that book I would say is specifically targeting, where that is impressive. That is brave to them. I don't know why it's brave to them, but it is something that they seek as they're more into identity than our age, our demographic.
It seems weird to me, and I'm gonna put on my old man hat and point out the grayness in my hair and beard, and I'm gonna say it seems to me that kids today are dragging up a whole bunch of problems we solved. Seriously, nobody was arguing and nobody was bitching about this. You're never going to get rid of racists. But we pretty much had a handle on racism. And now it seems like they just like, oh my gosh, it's slavery days again. No, just shut up. The best thing you can do is just be. Just be, because what they're doing every damn time is they're dividing and they're pointing out the differences. Yes. They're not there. There is no unification in what they're doing, because their whole existence is all about, you're in this box, I'm in this box, I'm over here, he's over here, he's over here. There you go, there you go, there you go. It's all about separation rather than coming together. Morgan Freeman, I think he was the one, right? Talking about Piers Morgan. What do you think we should do about race? Stop talking about it. Seriously. When you go into a store and a black guy's behind the counter, do you go, oh, black clerk? No. You pick up your stuff, you go, you pay him, you walk out, because you know what? It doesn't freaking matter. But what's going on with now, and this is why the announcements, this is why I think the announcements really do stand out, is because they're going, hey, these people are different than you. Here you go. Even if it's in a positive way. Oh, we know some of you aren't heteronormative. Here's your character, because now you can have somebody in your box. They say things like, everyone needs a hero. Like Spider-Man didn't inspire black people, gay people, or whatever. They say this like and look, I understand I'm saying this as a white guy who literally has seen white heroes in every medium. But there have been black heroes, and you can get inspired. My favorite hero as a kid was Power Man. I grew up in Florida as a country boy. I don't think I could have been further away from an ex-criminal in Harlem. But still, I looked at him and I thought, this is awesome. This is a guy gets knocked down, and he still wants to help his fellow man.
And I couldn't disagree more. I think it's that Dave Chappelle special. I don't know if you guys seen it, but he points out like the racism wasn't handled. Like it was quieted. It was maybe pushed behind the curtain, but there's nothing saying that it was handled. Like he does a good example. Like he talks about if a black man has it's typical white man voice and calls, and his name is Clifford, he's gonna get a table. And then he goes there and he shows up and he's this big black dude.
Yeah. That's racist.
Yes, that's proving
there is nothing in the laws that say it's legal for that man to keep somebody out of their race, out of the restaurant. There is no what they call systemic racism. There is no law against that, but that person who would kick that guy out or try not to give him, that guy's a racist.
Yeah. And that you're saying that we had it handled before.
No, you will. I said you will never get rid of the racists. There will always be someone who will attack some of the bigots, whatever. There will always be somebody who will attack somebody for being different. But now the laws state that you could sue the shit out of that person. Now the laws state that the person who does that is in the wrong. That's what I'm talking about. You will not get rid of the racist in this world, no matter what the color, no matter.
But I'm a big proponent of education and not shaming. You know, we see this Twitter culture, which is, I still think everyone should just leave, but that's beyond me. Where it becomes a shame game, right? And basically, when you shame someone, it makes them cement their beliefs. So instead of doing so, and I actually talked about this in a video and then I privated it with Vita Ayla shaming Thinking Critical. And I think his video was pretty shitty. I'll be the first to say that when it comes to trans Amazonians. But he's also allowed that right. And instead of her shaming him, why not send him some information on what it's like for either, what her body has gone through since she was, young. Whether I'm sure that's not something necessarily he'd want to read, but and again, going back, I'm going to do a video on it. That closer special could teach the right and the left so much. Just know what it's like to having that human experience of feeling different. And I'm sure he does know at some point what it's like to feel different, but he also doesn't know maybe what it's like to go into the store and get dirty looks. He doesn't know what it's like to have, go simply through the Walmart line and get people saying shitty stuff just to say shitty stuff. And at what point, and I think when it comes to representation, the only point we can actually hope for is that it is that, you just, okay, so this new character we made is gay and black. Oh, okay, so what? Like when we get to that point, it will be, that's the end game, right? So when, I guess the whole thing is, how do we get to that point without actually having everyone scream woke because it is a female lead or it is a black lead?
The way I would do it, don't announce it.
Just so don't announce or advertise a movie or a new comic book coming up.
Come on, you know that's
you
not
know
what
I
I'm
mean?
saying. No, that's not what I'm saying. You know that. Come on, come on, man. What I'm saying is that we don't want. Okay, in my opinion, someone who says they love black people is just as racist as somebody says they hate people hate black people, because the central theme there is all black people are the same.
Right.
You may not like them because they're all the same. You may love them all the same. Point being is you're not realizing the individuality. You're not realizing that the individual person is different. That's what matters. What needs to happen is people need to realize it's indifference. Indifference would be true acceptance. So when they put out gay Aquaman and they don't make a big freaking announcement before it, then we'll know.
They don't make an announcement that he's black and gay. They just say
yeah,
the new Aqualad is coming.
Yeah, of course you want the new Aqualad book to be advertised, but the fact that he's gay that should not even come up. I mean, in the story, of course, sure, you're going to have it, because if he's gay and he's going to have relationships, then it's going to come up. But as far as the announcement for it, when they put out a gay superhero without making a big deal about it, that's when we'll know that the comic book companies, not you and me, but we'll know that the comic book companies have accepted gay characters.
Yep,
which I'm telling you right now, they don't. They're not about representation. They're about presentation. It's all about it's
capitalism.
It's signaling the virtue, basically.
Yes, but there are people that seek out queer character stories.
But they will know that these are them.
How if you don't tell them?
The same way that it's never been announced that Sandman is filled with transgender and gay and all, the whole.
Oh, yes, it has.
Neil
Gaiman talks about it all the time.
Now, but I was there. I can honestly tell you.
I don't think I was there, to be honest with you.
I was there. It was not advertised like that. That book was advertised because people like me went, "Holy Hannah, did you read this thing? It was awesome." And it didn't matter. It didn't matter because the story came first.
And it didn't sell in the beginning.
Yeah, but it did eventually because enough people put it forward. But that goes back to they want to skip steps.
Right.
They don't want to climb that hill. They want to just have a helicopter land them on the top and go, "We won." Well, oh my Lord in heaven, she let it out.
to be fair though, that was and Salmon was also back in the day when you had higher numbers that you could do it. Nowadays, the numbers we're barely reaching now are not even worse. What would have been cancelable, like the highest points these days were cancelable numbers back then. So I think what they're trying to do is because they know they can't reach the old day numbers. Now they brought it on themselves by just going direct market only. They completely, not doing any stuff like the newsstands or anything like that. So yeah, they brought it on themselves. So, but I think that's part of the reason why they're doing that. It's that they want to just jump ahead because that's all they can do.
Well, and there's a lot of dishonest publishing practices in comics anyways right now.
Yep.
When it comes to variant covers.
One other thing I just wanted to point out was, but you do make a good point, England. Yeah, they do. They put emphasis on it because look back at Batwoman when they brought in Kate Kane. Now granted, J.H. Williams, when he was on Tristan's show, I remembering saying this, kind of, backpedal on it. Or not backpedal, but I said that wasn't fully the case. But I still remember they introduced Kate. People kept thinking, oh, she's a gay superhero or superheroine. And then DC had to make clear, no, she's a superhero that happens to be gay, but they never made it. It simply said Kate Kane, and then they mentioned a little bit about her being gay, but they were mostly focused on it's Kate Kane.
Yeah, they put the story before the message. They put the story before the gender or agenda, whatever you want to call it.
Well, when they introduced it. Now, of course, when the book actually started, again, it was still a great character, but they still focused on relationships. But even then, though, it was still handled a bit better. But I do think the announcements were still, she was, we're going to see what it's like dealing with a superhero that is gay.
By the way, I like Batwoman. I thought it was very well written.
And the art was fantastic.
The Batwoman Rebirth, absolutely. Like I'd recommend it if you guys haven't read it.
The Reapers.
J.H. Williams did say that they just weren't ready. That was on accident.
Yeah.